Hello and welcome. I'm Malthilda and I'm so glad you're here. Before we begin tonight's story, I want you to get comfortable, really comfortable. Find your favorite position, whether that's curled on your side, stretched out on your back, or nestled deep into your pillows. Let your body settle, let it grow heavy, let it know that there's nowhere else you need to be right now. Take a slow breath in through your nose and let it out through your mouth, releasing any tension from the day. One more time, breathe in and out. Beautiful. Tonight, I'm going to tell you a story about magic, about twilight, and about unexpected connections. This is a Romantasy sleep story called Bound to the Shadow Fae, and in it, you'll wander through a twilight market where the ordinary world softens and magic feels possible. You'll discover an enchanted bracelet, make a wish, and find yourself bound to a mysterious Shadow Fae in ways neither of you expected. This story is designed to help you drift into peaceful sleep. My voice will guide you through lantern-lit streets, into ancient towers, and toward the gentle embrace of rest. You don't need to follow every word or remember every detail. Just let the story wash over you like a warm tide, carrying you toward sleep. So settle in, close your eyes if you haven't already, and let's begin our journey together. Episode 1, The Binding. The market comes alive as dust settles over the city, slow and gentle, like a blanket being drawn over the world. This is the hour when the ordinary world softens, when the boundary between what is real and what is magic grows thin, permeable, inviting. Lanterns flicker to life along the cobblestone pathways, one by one, their warm glow painting everything in shades of amber and gold, honey and candlelight. The air smells of cardamom and wood smoke, of night-blooming jasmine and something sweeter, something that reminds you of summer evenings and half-forgotten dreams. You have been walking for an hour now, maybe longer. Time feels different here, wandering between stalls that appear and disappear with the changing light. This market exists only at twilight, only in the space between day and night, when both are present and neither is fully claimed. The vendors here sell things that shimmer at the edge of perception, bottles of captured moonlight that glow soft in their glass prisons, ribbons that change color with your mood, small vials of bottled dreams that swirl with opalescent mist. Most of it is simply clever marketing, this beautiful trinkets for tourists who want to believe in magic, who want to take home a piece of wonder. You are not naive, you understand how the world works, but there is something about this hour that makes you want to believe anyway. Something about the softening light and the possibility hanging in the air, thick and sweet as honey. Your feet carry you down a narrow side path, away from the main thoroughfare with its crowds, noise, impressive bodies, away to somewhere quieter, more intimate. Here the stalls are tucked between buildings that lean toward each other overhead, their upper stories nearly touching, creating a canopy of timber and stone. The cobblestones beneath your feet are worn smooth by centuries of footsteps, polished by time and weather until they gleam dully in the lamplight. The sounds of the market fade to a gentle hum behind you, distant and dreamlike, leaving you in a pocket of relative quiet, of peace. That is when you see it. The stall appears suddenly, or perhaps it has always been there, and you simply failed to notice it until this exact moment, until you were meant to see it. It sits in a pool of shadow beneath an overhanging roof, draped in deep blue velvet that seems to absorb the lantern light rather than reflect it, drinking in the glow and offering nothing back. The items displayed on the velvet catch your eye immediately, drawing your attention with gentle insistence. Silver and crystal, delicate chains and smooth stones, everything arranged with careful precision, with intention. There is a stillness to this stall, a quiet that feels different from the market's gentle hum around you, deeper, more profound, as if this small space exists slightly outside of time. The vendor is an older woman, her hair silver as moonlight, her hands weathered and graceful, marked by years of work and care. She smiles as you approach, a warm smile, kind, genuine, the sort of smile that makes you feel welcomed, expected, as if she has been waiting for you specifically. You are drawn to the table, your eyes moving over the displayed items with growing interest. Rings and pendants, bracelets, and small carved figurines, each piece beautiful in its own way, each calling softly for attention. But one item pulls at you more than the others, insistent, magnetic, a bracelet. It rests on a square of midnight blue silk, centered perfectly as if it is the heart of the display, the reason for everything else. Simple in design, elegant, a band of woven silver so fine it appears almost liquid, like mercury caught and held in metal form. The strands twist and wind around each other, patterns that seem to shift when you look at them too long, hypnotic, mesmerizing. The metal catches the dying light, glowing soft and warm, inviting touch. It is beautiful, understated, the sort of thing you might actually wear, not too ornate or flashy, just lovely in its simplicity. You reach for it, your fingers hovering just above the silver, and you can feel something radiating from it even before contact. A gentle warmth, a sense of invitation, of welcome, as if the bracelet recognizes you somehow. The vendor speaks, her voice is soft, musical, flowing like water over smooth stones. There is an accent you cannot quite place, something old, something that reminds you of languages half remembered from dreams, of words your grandmother might have spoken in stories told long ago. She tells you it is a binding bracelet, an old tradition from the Fae lands, ancient and honored. You clasp it 3 times, she explains, speak your heart's wish, and it will bring luck and love, strengthen the bonds between souls who are meant to find each other, draw together what belongs together. She says this with such simple certainty, such kindness, as if she is sharing a secret with you, something precious. This is simply what the bracelet does, she seems to say, a charm, a sweet tradition, harmless and hopeful. You smile, charmed by the story, by her earnestness. It is a tourist trinket, of course it is, you tell yourself, but it is beautiful, and there is something appealing about the ritual of it, the idea of speaking a wish into the twilight, of marking this moment, this strange in-between hour when anything feels possible. You lift the bracelet, the silver is cool against your palm, smooth and light, almost weightless, as if it is made of solidified moonlight rather than metal. You turn it over in your hands, admiring the craftsmanship, the way the woven strands catch the light and hold it, the way it seems to warm slightly in your grip. The vendor encouraged you, her voice warm and gentle. Try it, see how it feels, speak your wish. There is no harm in it, only hope. You hesitate for only a moment, then you bring the bracelet to your wrist, feeling a small thrill of something, excitement maybe, or anticipation. You clasp it once, the mechanism is smooth, nearly silent, a small click that sounds loud in the quiet of the stall. You clasp it twice, your heart beating a little faster now. 3 times. The metal warms against your skin, sudden and sure. You close your eyes, feeling slightly foolish, but also charmed by the romance of it, by the theatricality. You speak your wish in a whisper, so quiet, even you can barely hear it, words meant only for the twilight and whatever might be listening. A wish for connection, for someone who understands, for love that is real and true and lasting, for an end to loneliness. The words leave your lips and dissolve into the twilight air, carried away on a breeze you cannot feel. For a heartbeat, nothing happens, the world holds its breath. Then everything changes, but gently, inevitably, like water finding its level. Heat blooms at your wrist, not painful, not burning, but sudden, unexpected, insistent. The bracelet grows warm against your skin, the metal seeming to meld with your pulse. You gasp softly, surprised, and the warmth is spreading now, traveling up your arm in gentle waves across your chest, settling deep in the center of your ribs, right behind your breastbone, where it pools and glows. Something snaps into place, soft as a door closing, certain as a key turning. You feel it undeniable, absolute, a tether, a connection. Something that was not there a moment ago suddenly exists with complete certainty. It pulls, gently tugs at something fundamental inside you, something you did not know could be touched. As if someone has threaded a line through your very soul and drawn it taut, not painfully, but firmly establishing a link that cannot be broken. Your eyes open slowly, your breath coming a little faster now, but not with fear exactly, more with wonder, with realization that something has shifted. The vendor's expression has changed, her warm smile faltering, fading, replaced by something else, confusion first, then growing alarm. Her eyes are wide, fixed on your wrist, on the bracelet that now gleams with inner light, pulsing soft and rhythmic, matching your heartbeat exactly, glowing brighter with each beat. She begins to speak, her voice rising with concern, with apology, but her words are drowned out by something else, something more immediate. The sound of wind where there should be no wind, sudden and cold, but not violent, just present. The temperature drops, gentle but unmistakable, autumn arriving in the space of a breath. Your exhale mists in the air, visible, white, disappearing slowly. The lantern light flickers but does not go out, dims but holds steady. Shadows pour into the space around the stall, gathering shadows, too thick to be natural but not threatening, moving with purpose and intelligence. They coalesce, gathering and twisting and taking shape, pulling themselves into form. Darkness gathers from nowhere and everywhere at once, pulling itself together, becoming solid, becoming real, becoming him. The air itself seems to make room, to shift aside, welcoming something into the world, something that was elsewhere a moment ago, something that is here now, summoned, called across distance by the bond you have just created. He appears from the shadows as if he has always been part of them, as if he is made of the same substance, born from darkness itself. Tall, very tall, or perhaps it is simply the way he holds himself, the way presence radiates from him, filling the space without overwhelming it. The way the darkness seems to cling to him, to move with him, extensions of his will, gentle and constant. He is dressed in dark clothing that might be leather or might be shadow itself woven into fabric. It is difficult to tell where material ends and darkness begins. The boundaries are blurred, uncertain, shifting. But it is his presence that strikes you first, before details can fully register. The weight of him, the sense that the air has changed because he is in it, that reality has shifted slightly to accommodate him, making space. He carries something ancient with him, something that speaks of deep forests and forgotten places of standing stones, an old magic of time measured in centuries, rather than years of solitude so complete and so long that it has become fundamental to who he is woven into his very being. He is beautiful in a way that is almost difficult to look at directly, the kind of beauty that feels otherworldly, untouchable. Sharp features, high cheekbones that catch the lamplight, a face carved from stone and softened only slightly by time and whatever experiences he has lived through. His hair is dark, not black, but something deeper, richer, the color of shadows and starlight, of deep water at midnight, of the sky between dusk and true night. It falls past his shoulders, some of it pulled back from his face, some of it loose, framing those sharp, elegant features. But his eyes are what hold you. They are dark, nearly black deep as well as ancient as the earth, but there is something in them that shifts and moves silver threading through the darkness like veins of ore through stone, like lightning through storm clouds, like moonlight on water. Moving, alive, conscious, aware. The shadows in his gaze are the same shadows that move around him, as if he is made of this darkness, as if it is fundamentally part of what he is, inseparable from his being, from his soul, if he has one. Those eyes find yours immediately, unerringly, as if pulled by the same force that pulled him here, by the bond that now connects you. And in them, you see shock, raw and unguarded for just a moment, all his considerable control stripped away by surprise, by the unexpected. His lips part slightly, his breath catches audibly in the quiet, one hand moves to his chest, pressing against his ribs as if something has struck him there, as if he is in pain or feeling something he has not felt in a very long time, something he thought he would never feel again. He feels it too, of course he does. The bond, the tether, the connection that snapped into place when you clasped the bracelet 3 times and spoke your wish into the twilight, when you reached out unknowingly and found him, bound yourself to him, tied your fate to his, whether either of you wanted it or not, whether either of you were prepared. For 3 heartbeats, he simply stares at you, frozen in place, disbelieving, and you can see the moment his mind catches up with what his body already knows. The moment understanding crashes into him like a wave, the moment he realizes what has happened, what this means, how everything has just changed, irrevocably, permanently, completely. His expression changes, shock fading slowly, not into anger exactly, but into something more complex. Something that looks almost like grief. Something cold settles over his features, a distance, a wall going up brick by brick. His hand drops from his chest slowly, deliberately, as if he is forcing himself to release the gesture, to let go. His jaw tightens, you can see the muscle jump beneath his skin. The shadows around him thicken slightly, growing a shade darker. They curl and twist at his feet, coiling like living water, responding to emotions he has not yet given voice to, reflecting what he will not show on his face. When he speaks, his voice is low, controlled, each word chosen carefully and delivered with precision, measured, cool. But underneath the control, you can hear it, the threat of something else, not quite anger, more like weariness, like resignation, a carefully contained distress that he is working very hard to keep contained, to manage. What have you done, he says, and there is something almost tired in the question, despite the coldness, as if this is one burden too many, one complication he cannot bear, one door he thought was closed, now standing open again. It is not quite an accusation, not quite blame, but something more complex, something that tastes of resignation and old pain, of plans disrupted, of a life carefully built now shaken to its foundations. You take a step back instinctively, your heart hammering against your ribs, loud in your ears, too fast, too hard. The bracelet is still warm on your wrist, still glowing softly, pulsing in time with your racing pulse. You reach for it without thinking, fingers fumbling with the clasp, trying to undo it, to remove it, to make this stop, to return to how things were just moments ago, to unmake what has been made. But the metal will not open the clasp that worked so smoothly a moment ago as now. Fuse seamless, as if it was always a solid band, as if the opening never existed, as if this was always meant to be permanent, meant to last. The Fae watches you struggle with the bracelet for a moment, his expression unreadable, carefully blank, then he takes a step toward you. Not threatening, not aggressive, but purposeful, decisive. His movements are fluid, graceful in a way that is distinctly inhuman, reminding you that he is not human, has never been human, will never be human, is something else entirely. He moves through the space between you as if distance is optional, as if the world bends slightly to accommodate him, making room, yielding. He stops an arm's length away, close enough that you can feel the cool air that surrounds him. Not unpleasant exactly, but noticeable, different, like standing near a winter window or beside a mountain stream. The shadows at his feet reach toward you, tentative, curious, like dark water lapping at a shore. Gentle exploratory touches before he pulls them back with visible effort, reining them in, controlling them. Do not, he says, his voice still controlled, still carefully level, but there is something underneath now, not anger exactly, but weariness, ancient and deep, the tiredness of someone who has lived too long and seen too much. Do not try to run from me. It will not work. The bond will not allow it. Not yet, not until it settles, not until it understands what it has become. You are not thinking of running, not consciously at least, but the moment he says it, your body tenses anyway, muscles preparing for flight even as your mind knows it would be useless. He sees it, of course he sees it. Those strange shifting eyes miss nothing. They take in everything, cataloging, understanding. A strange emotion flickers in his gaze, not quite sympathy, closer to acknowledgement, recognition, as if he understands the impulse, even if he cannot condone it. If you try to separate from me now, he says quietly, and his voice has softened slightly, just a fraction, just enough to notice. It will hurt both of us. The bond is new, unstable, uncertain. It needs proximity to settle, to understand itself, to find its equilibrium. As if to prove his point, as if the bond itself is listening and responding. You feel it, the pull, the tether in your chest, drawing gently taut, not painful, yet not unbearable, but insistent, persistent, urging you closer to him, wanting proximity, needing it. The thought of moving away, of putting more distance between you, sends a spike of anxiety through you, sharp and sudden and unwelcome, but it is not entirely your anxiety. You realize with the start, with growing understanding, some of it is his, bleeding through the connection. You can feel it as if it were your own. His discomfort with separation, his dread at the thought of distance. You look down at your wrist, at the glowing bracelet that has changed everything in the space of 3 heartbeats. That has altered the course of your life irrevocably. Your voice comes out smaller than you intend, uncertain, wavering, vulnerable. What is this, you ask? What did I do? What does this mean? Please, I need to understand. He is silent for a long moment, and in that silence you can feel so much through the bond, layers of emotion that he cannot quite bury, cannot quite shield you from yet. The connection is too new right now, way too raw and honest. The shock is fading now, slowly, reluctantly, being replaced by something heavier, something that tastes of resignation, of old grief surfacing, of a life interrupted, of carefully laid plans coming undone, of solitude shattered. When he finally speaks, his voice has lost some of its edge, not softening exactly, not warming, but tired, so deeply tired. As if he has been carrying a weight for a very long time, as if you have just added another stone to an already unbearable burden, as if this is one thing too many. It is a true Fae binding, he says, each word careful, measured, chosen with precision. Not a trinket, not symbolic, not a charm for tourists or helpful lovers. The bracelet was a genuine artifact, old magic, very old, ancient, the kind that does not care about intention. Only action, only the ritual completed, the word spoken, the wish made, the price paid. You look to the vendor seeking answers, seeking someone to blame, someone to fix this, someone to tell you it will all be all right. She has backed away from the stall, several steps, her hands pressed to her mouth, her eyes wide with horror, with disbelief, with guilt. She is shaking her head, muttering apologies in a language you do not understand, the words tumbling over each other, frantic, desperate. She did not know, clearly she did not know. You can see it in her face. She found the bracelet at an estate sale. Thought it was simply a pretty thing, a clever reproduction, costume jewelry, not real, never this. The Fae does not even glance at her, does not spare her a moment of his attention. His focus is fixed on you, unwavering, complete, as if you're the only thing in the world that matters now, the only thing that exists, as if everything else has fallen away, leaving only this, only you, only the bond between you, only this new reality you must both navigate. You are bonded, he says, and the words are heavy, final, weighted with permanence, with inevitability. To me, your souls are tethered, connected on a level that goes beyond the physical, beyond the visible. I can feel your location, your pain, your strongest emotions. You can feel mine, though I will do my best to shield you from them, to spare you that burden at least, to protect you from the weight of what I carry. Even as he says it, you realize it is true. You can feel him, not just his presence in the physical space, solid and real and undeniable, but what is beneath, what lies under the controlled surface, the emotions he is trying to contain. The cool frustration, yes, the unwelcome surprise, the disruption of his carefully ordered existence, but deeper than that, fear, bone-deep terror, as if something he has been running from has finally caught him, as if a door he thought was sealed has been thrown open. And beneath even that, deeper still, a loneliness so profound it makes your chest ache in sympathy, in response. A loneliness that has been his companion for so long, he has forgotten what it feels like to be without it, has made peace with it, has built his entire existence around it, has shaped himself to fit its contours. He is trying to bury these feelings now, trying to push them down where you cannot sense them, to control them, to master them, to lock them away. But the bond is too new, too raw, too honest, too unguarded. Everything bleeds through anyway, seeping past his defenses, flowing through the connection like water finding cracks in stone. How long, you manage to ask, your voice barely above a whisper, how long does the bond last? Surely there must be a way to undo it, to break it, to return to how things were. His jaw tightens, you see the muscle jump, his eyes close briefly, just for a moment, as if gathering strength or accepting something difficult. When he opens them again, there is something in his expression that might be resignation or grief or simply exhaustion, bone deep and ancient. It is permanent, he says, the word heavy as stone, final as death. The bond cannot be undone, cannot be broken, not by magic, not by will, not by distance or time. What is bound is bound. What is tethered stays tethered. This is the nature of true Fae magic, of bonds forged in the old ways. You are mine now. I am yours, whether we will it or not, whether we wish it or not, for the rest of our lives, however long those may be. The words hang in the air between you, settling like snow, covering everything. Permanent, forever bound. You are bound to this stranger, this Fae, who looks at you as if you have destroyed something precious, as if you have stolen something from him that he will never get back, as if you have reached into his carefully ordered life and set it aflame. I did not know, you whisper, the words inadequate, insufficient, but all you have to offer. The vendor said it was just a charm, just a tradition, just a bit of harmless fun I would never have. If I had known, I never would have. I know, he says, and there is no accusation in his voice now, no blame, only weariness, only acceptance, only a tired kind of resignation. You did not mean to, you could not have known. The vendor did not realize what she was selling. It was an accident, a mistake, a confluence of circumstances that should never have occurred. But intent does not matter, not to magic the sold. The bond exists regardless of what you wanted or did not want. Regardless of understanding or ignorance, it simply is, and nothing can change that now. The market around you continues. Somehow life goes on, people walking past, vendors calling, the ordinary world carrying on as if everything has not just changed, as if your life has not just been altered in a way you cannot yet comprehend, cannot yet fully grasp. The Fae looks at you, really looks at you, his gaze moving over your face, slowly, carefully, as if memorizing you, as if accepting that you are now part of his life, whether he wants you to be or not, as if trying to find something in your features that will help him understand this, accept this, live with this. What is your name, he asks, and the question feels important somehow, weighted, significant, as if names matter in a way they did not before. You tell him, your voice steadier than you feel, stronger than you expect. And then you ask for his because if you're bound to him, if your souls are tethered, if this is permanent, and Unchangeable, then, you should at least know what to call him, what name to speak in the darkness. He hesitates, as if giving you his name is another intimacy, another thing he must now share, another piece of himself handed over. But finally, after a long moment, he answers, the word carefully offered. Kirvin, he says, and the name fits him somehow, old and strong and a little sad. It is a good name, solid, real. You repeat it quietly, testing how it feels in your mouth, how it sounds in your voice, how it shapes itself on your lips. Kirvin. Something shifts in his expression, so brief you almost miss it, there and gone in a heartbeat. The sound of his name and your voice affects him. You feel it through the bond, a flutter of something warm beneath all the ice and distance. Something he pushes down, immediately refusing to acknowledge it, refusing to let it surface, but it was there. He felt it real and undeniable. I am taking you somewhere private, he says, his tone leaving no room for argument, no space for negotiation. This is not a spectacle I will allow, not something for curious eyes and whispered rumors. The bond needs time to settle. You need to stay close to me, at least through tonight, possibly longer. After that, we will discuss what happens next, what this means, how we proceed. But first, we need to be somewhere safe, somewhere quiet, somewhere away from all of this. You want to protest, want to demand more explanation, want to understand what is happening and what it means, and how you fix it, how you make sense of this. But the exhaustion is hitting you now, suddenly, overwhelmingly, the adrenaline draining away like water from a broken vessel, leaving you shaky and unsteady, weak in the knees. Your legs feel uncertain beneath you. Your hands are trembling slightly. Your breath comes shallow and quick. And beneath your fear, beneath your confusion, beneath all the questions and uncertainties, there is something else, unexpected and strange. The bond itself, warm in your chest, constant and steady, present like a second heartbeat, connecting you to this stranger who is somehow no longer a stranger, who is now fundamentally part of you, woven into your very existence. Kirvin extends his hand, palm up, an offering rather than a demand, a choice rather than a command. His fingers are long, elegant, graceful. There are faint scars across his knuckles, evidence of a life you know nothing about, of experiences you cannot imagine, of years and years of existence before this moment. The shadows will not hurt you, he says quietly, and his voice is different now, gentler, almost reassuring. The first words that sound like comfort rather than information. They are mine to command, mine to control. You are safe with them, safe with me. I give you my word, whatever that may be worth to you. You look at his hand, at the shadows that curl around his feet, like patient animals at the twilight market, that suddenly feels too bright, too exposed, too full of watching eyes and curious glances, too public for something this private, this profound. You take his hand, your fingers sliding into his, and his skin is cool, not cold exactly, but several degrees below human warmth, like stone in winter, like deep water. His fingers close around yours, carefully, gently, as if he is very aware of his own strength, as if he is being careful not to hurt you, choosing gentleness deliberately, consciously. Do not fight the shadows, he says, his voice low, close. The sound of it settling somewhere deep in your chest, resonating through the bond. Just breathe, stay with me. Trust me for this moment at least. It will only take a moment, I promise. I will not let harm come to you. The shadows rise like water, like smoke, like living darkness. They come from everywhere and nowhere, from the ground and the spaces between buildings and the air itself. Darkness gathering and pooling and surrounding you both, gentle and inexorable. You feel a moment of instinctive panic, your hand tightening on his, your breath catching. He squeezes back, a steady pressure, an anchor, solid and real and reassuring. His voice comes through the gathering darkness, calm, present, grounding. I am here, breathe, just breathe. You are safe. I have you just a moment more? You close your eyes, trusting the only thing you can trust right now. His hand in yours, solid and real and constant, the one point of certainty in a world that has just come undone, that has just been turned inside out. The sensation of movement without moving, of traveling without walking, of distance collapsing. The ground falls away, or perhaps you fall through the ground. It is impossible to tell, impossible to understand. There's only darkness, only the feeling of his hand, only his presence beside you, steady and unwavering and sure. And then, as suddenly as it began, it stops. The world solidifies, reality returns. Solid ground beneath your feet, real and firm and reassuring. Cool air on your face, fresh and clean, carrying different scents. The smell of pine and earth and old stone, of forests and mountains and places far from cities. You open your eyes slowly, adjusting, reorienting, trying to understand where you are now. Night has fallen, completely full darkness, but you are no longer in the city, no longer anywhere near the market, no longer in the same place at all. The air here is different, cleaner, sharper, crisper. It fills your lungs with the taste of high altitude and ancient forest, of places that have stood unchanged for centuries, of wilderness and solitude. Kiervan releases your hand slowly, carefully, as if making sure you are steady before letting go, making sure you will not fall. The absence of his touch is immediate, noticeable, the bond stirring slightly, wanting his proximity, preferring connection. But the intensity has lessened. You can stand apart from him now without pain, without distress. The distance is manageable, tolerable. You look around, trying to orient yourself, to understand where you are, where he has brought you, what this place is. You stand before a tower, and your breath catches at the sight of it. It rises from the forest floor as if it has grown there, as if it is as much a part of the landscape as the towering pines that surround it, as the earth itself. The structure is stone, old stone, ancient, weathered by centuries of wind and rain and snow, covered in places with dark ivy that has gone dormant for winter, clinging to the walls in intricate patterns. The tower is not large, not a castle or fortress, nothing grand or imposing, but a watchtower, a guardian's post, built to overlook, to protect, to stand vigil. It rises 3 stories, maybe 4, built from gray stone blocks fitted together with such precision you can barely see the mortar between them, the work of master craftsmen from another age. The walls are carved with symbols, Fae runes, you think. They spiral around the tower in patterns that seem to shift when you look at them too directly, as if they are more than decoration, as if they hold meaning, power, purpose. Some of the symbols glow faintly, soft blue light that pulses like a heartbeat, gentle and constant. There are narrow windows, arrow slits on the lower levels, wider arched openings higher up, and warm light glows from one of the windows on the 2nd floor, golden and inviting against the darkness, promising warmth, promising shelter, promising safety. The entrance is a heavy wooden door, dark oak aged nearly black, banded with iron that has rusted to deep brown. It stands open slightly, waiting, welcoming. The forest around the tower is dense, old-growth pines and firs, their branches blocking out what little moonlight filters through the clouds overhead, creating a canopy of darkness. But despite the darkness, you do not feel afraid. There is something peaceful about this place, something protected, something sacred, almost as if the forest itself stands guard, as if this place exists in a bubble of safety, of sanctuary. Kiervan stands a few paces away, watching you take in your surroundings, his expression unreadable, carefully neutral. His shadows have calmed considerably. They move gently now, lazily, like water in a slow current, no longer agitated or disturbed, content in this place at home. This is where you live, you say, and it is not quite a question, more an observation, a statement of something obvious. Yes, his answer is simple. offering nothing more, giving no additional information, keeping his privacy, his secrets. You look back at the tower, at the way the ivy clings to the stone, at the age evident in every weathered block, in every worn surface. How long have you been here, you ask, curious despite everything, wanting to understand? A long time, he says, and does not elaborate, does not offer details, does not explain. You can feel his reluctance through the bond, his desire to keep distance, to offer as little of himself as possible, as if information is something precious he must guard, as if sharing even small things costs him something. He gestures toward the open door, his movement graceful, economical. You need rest, he says, his voice still carefully neutral, still controlled. The bond settling is exhausting, draining. You will feel it soon if you do not already. Your body is working to integrate the connection, to understand it, to make space for it. This takes energy, takes strength. You need to conserve what you have. As if his words have given your body permission, as if you were waiting for someone to acknowledge it, you suddenly feel the weight of it, the profound exhaustion, the bone-deep tiredness. Not just from tonight, from the market and the binding and the shadow travel, but from something deeper, something more fundamental. The magic working in your blood, changing you, altering you on a cellular level, connecting you to another being in ways you do not yet understand, cannot yet comprehend. You move toward the door, drawn by the promise of warmth, of shelter, of rest. Kirvan follows, keeping a careful distance, close enough that the bond is satisfied, close enough that neither of you feels the pull of separation, far enough that he is not crowding you, not overwhelming you, giving you space to breathe, to think, to process. The doorway is tall, built for someone of his height, arched at the top, graceful. You pass through into warmth, into golden light, into shelter, and the relief is immediate, overwhelming. You did not realize how cold you had become, how chilled. The interior of the tower is nothing like you expected, nothing like the austere exterior suggested. You stand in the main room, the ground floor, and it is clearly a home, lived in, comfortable, personal. It is circular, following the shape of the tower itself, the space flowing around the central column. The walls are the same stone as outside, gray and solid and ancient, but here they are softened by age and use, by years of habitation. Tapestries hang in places, faded but beautiful, depicting forests and stars and vicourts from another time, from ages long past. The fabric is worn but well cared for, threads carefully mended where time has been unkind. There is a large hearth built into the wall, substantial and well used, and a fire burns there, low and steady, the flames normal, orange and gold and red, crackling quietly, filling the room with gentle warmth, with comfort. The smell of burning wood, oak maybe, or birch, clean and pleasant, mingles with other scents, herbs and old paper and something indefinable, something that smells like him. The furniture is simple but well made, solid and functional. A wooden table with 2 chairs, the wood dark and polished by years of use, the surface scarred with the marks of daily life. A long, low bench covered in cushions, deep blue and forest green, inviting rest. Bookshelves built into the walls, filled with volumes of every size and age, some of the spines so worn you cannot read the titles, others looking newer, more recent acquisitions. The collection of someone who has had centuries to accumulate knowledge, to gather stories, to hoard wisdom. There are maps on the table, spread out and weighted at the corners with smooth stones, ink and pens nearby. A half-finished mug of something that might have been tea, long since cold. Evidence that he was here, working, existing, living his life, before you pulled him away, before the bond snapped into place and changed everything. Herbs hang drying from the rafters overhead, lavender and sage and rosemary, and things you do not recognize. Their scent mingles with the wood smoke, creating an atmosphere that is earthy and calming, Soothing, familiar somehow, even though you have never been here before. A narrow staircase curves along the wall, following the circular shape of the tower. Stone steps worn smooth in the center by countless footsteps over countless years, leading up, disappearing into the floor above, into the spaces you cannot yet see. It is more than you expected, more personal, more lived in, more real. This is not just a place Kiervan stays. This is his home, his sanctuary, the place he has chosen to exist in isolation, away from the world, away from whatever drove him here, away from courts and politics and the complications of Fae society. You have intruded on that isolation, violated it, shattered it completely. The thought sits heavy in your chest, uncomfortable, guilty. Kiervan moves past you, toward the hearth, his movements fluid and practiced, familiar with this space, at home here. He tends the fire, adding another log, prodding the coals with an iron poker that looks as old as the tower itself. The flames rise obediently, casting dancing shadows across the walls, across his face, making it difficult to read his expression. His own shadows blend with the firelight, making it impossible to tell where natural shadow ends and his magic begins. You must be hungry, he says, his back still to you, his voice carefully neutral, conversational. You left for the market hours ago, before sunset. You have not eaten since then, perhaps longer. You realize he is right, you are hungry. Your stomach is a tight knot of hunger and anxiety, empty and uncomfortable. You left for the market in the afternoon, drawn by curiosity and the promise of pretty things, and you have not eaten since midday. The hours have stretched and everything has changed, and your body is reminding you of basic needs. I can prepare something, he continues, still not looking at you, still focused on the fire. It will not be elaborate. I was not expecting guests, obviously, but it will be sufficient. It will sustain you, keep you from discomfort. There is something almost awkward in his offer, hesitant, as if he is out of practice with hospitality, as if he is remembering how to care for another person and finding the motions strange, unfamiliar, difficult. Thank you, you say quietly and mean it, grateful for the gesture, for the kindness beneath the coldness, for the consideration despite his own distress. He nods, a small sharp movement, acknowledgement without warmth. He moves to a cabinet built into the wall, opens it, begins taking out simple supplies. Bread and cheese and dried fruit, a jar of honey, a small crock of butter. He sets them on the table with economical movements, efficient, practiced, no wasted motion. You watch him, uncertain what to do, where to stand, where you're allowed to be. This is his space, his home. You do not know the rules here, do not know what is permitted, what is welcome. Sit, he says, as if feeling your uncertainty through the bond, as if your discomfort is tangible to him. Please sit, be comfortable. This is your home now too, I suppose, for tonight at least. Possibly longer, you should not stand on ceremony. You move to the table, lower yourself into one of the chairs, and the wood is smooth beneath your hands, worn by years of use, comfortable despite its simplicity. The cushion on the seat is firm but not hard, supportive, welcoming. Kiervan works in silence, his movements sure and practiced. He cuts the bread with a knife that looks older than nations, the blade worn but still sharp, still effective. He arranges everything on a wooden plate, cheese and bread and fruit, drizzles honey over the cheese, adds a pat of butter to the side. Sets the plate before you with careful precision, not meeting your eyes. Then fills a cup with water from a clay pitcher, places it within reach, everything done with quiet efficiency. Only then does he step back, putting distance between you again, retreating to the hearth, to the shadows, to the edge of the firelight. Eat, he says, his voice soft, not quite a command, more an encouragement. Rest, you need to recover your strength. Tomorrow we will talk about what this means, about what happens next, about how we navigate this. But tonight, just eat, just rest, just let yourself be. You look at the food, your hunger is real, demanding, but so is the surreal nature of this entire night, the impossibility of it. You are sitting in a watchtower in a forest you cannot name, sharing a table with a Fae you did not know existed hours ago, connected to him in a way you do not understand, bound to him permanently, irrevocably. What happens tonight, you ask, needing to know, needing to understand the immediate future at least. Where will I sleep? Where will you be? What are the expectations? What is allowed? He is quiet for a long moment, and you can feel his consideration through the bond, his careful weighing of options, of what is appropriate, what is necessary, what is safe. When he answers, his voice is measured, deliberate, choosing each word with care. You will take my room, he says, not looking at you, staring into the fire instead. The second floor, it is comfortable, private, safe. There's everything you need there. You will be warm, you will be protected, nothing will disturb you. I will remain down here, close enough that the bond will not cause distress. Far enough to give you privacy, to let you rest without feeling observed, without feeling crowded. You will not sleep, you say, not quite a question, more an observation, a certainty you feel through the bond. His shoulders tighten slightly, a tension you see even from across the room. No, he admits, the word simple, honest. I will not sleep, not tonight, possibly not for several nights. This is difficult. I need time to adjust, to accept, to understand what my life has become. The honesty surprises you. You expected deflection, expected lies or half-truths, but he offers you the truth plainly, as if he has decided that much at least is owed, that much at least is fair. Silence falls between you, not quite comfortable, not quite hostile. Simply two people trying to navigate an impossible situation, trying to find footing on ground that has shifted beneath them. Kiervan stands by the hearth, not looking at you, his gaze lost in the fire, but his attention is on you anyway. You can feel it through the bond. His awareness of your every movement, your every breath, his vigilance constant and unwavering. It should feel invasive, uncomfortable, intrusive, but it does not. Somehow it does not. There is something almost protective in his focus, as if he is standing guard, as if his attention ensures your safety, as if he has already decided that whatever else you are, whatever complications you represent, you are his responsibility now, his to protect, his to care for, however reluctantly. You eat slowly, carefully, tasting everything. The bread is good, dense and hearty, substantial, homemade or purchased from somewhere that takes pride in their work. The cheese is sharp, aged, complex. It melts slightly on your tongue. The honey is sweet, floral, possibly wildflower. It pairs perfectly with the cheese, creating a balance of flavors. The fruit is tart dried apples and cherries, chewy and satisfying. Simple food, basic food. But after the chaos of the evening, after everything that has happened, it tastes better than anything you can remember. Grounding, nourishing, real. Kiervan stands silent vigil, a shadow by the fire, present but not intrusive, there but not demanding attention. You can feel him through the bond. His emotions more controlled now, more subdued. The initial shock fading into acceptance, into resignation, into the beginning of adaptation. He is processing this just as you are, trying to understand, trying to adjust, trying to figure out how to live with this new reality, this unexpected complication, this unwanted connection. When you finish eating, you push the plate away gently, carefully, not wanting to make unnecessary noise, not wanting to disturb the quiet that has settled over the room. Your exhaustion is overwhelming now, pulling at you, dragging you down, making your limbs heavy, making your eyelids want to close, making everything feel distant and dreamlike. Kiervan turns, finally looks at you directly, and in the firelight, his face is softer somehow, less harsh, the shadows gentler. Come, he says, his voice quiet, barely above a whisper. I will show you the room. You need to rest. You cannot fight this much longer. Your body is demanding sleep. I can feel it. You stand, your legs unsteady, weak, uncertain. Kiervan notices, of course he notices. He is across the room in moments, faster than should be possible. His hand on your elbow, steadying you, supporting you. His touch cool but gentle, careful. The stairs, he says simply, and guides you toward them, patient and unhurried. You climb slowly, one hand on the curved stone wall for balance, the other steadied by him, his presence solid and reassuring beside you. The stairs are worn smooth in the center, evidence of countless footsteps over countless years, smooth as glass in places, safe despite their age. Kiervan climbs with easy grace, but he matches your pace, patient and accommodating, not rushing you, letting you take your time. The second floor is smaller than the ground level, more intimate, cozier. The staircase opens into a single room, circular like the space below. And this is clearly a bedroom, a private space, personal. There's a bed against the far wall, larger than you expected, built from dark wood that gleams in the candlelight, substantial and solid. Piled with blankets and furs, thick and inviting, layers of warmth and comfort, soft fabrics and rich textures. Pillows in deep colors, midnight blue and forest green, plump and welcoming. It looks warm, safe, comfortable, a place of rest after long days, a place to retreat to, a place to hide from the world. More bookshelves line the walls, crowded with volumes, overflowing in places. Evidence of someone who loves reading, who hoards knowledge, who finds comfort in stories. A small desk sits beneath one of the arched windows, simple and functional, scattered with papers and more books. An inkwell and pens, evidence of work done in quiet hours, of thoughts recorded, of correspondence or journals or whatever it is ancient Fae write about in the privacy of their rooms. A wardrobe stands in one corner, tall and imposing, dark wood to match the bed, simple but well-made, functional. A wash basin and pitcher rest on a small table, the ceramic old but clean, well-maintained, cared for. A mirror hangs above it, the glass old and slightly warped, giving back imperfect reflections, softening reality. Candles provide light, burning in wall sconces, casting gentle illumination that flickers and dances, creating moving shadows that are soothing rather than frightening, hypnotic, calming. The flames are steady, protected from drafts, unwavering. It is a room that feels lived in, personal, private. This is where Kiervan sleeps, where he retreats to, where he allows himself to be vulnerable, to rest, to dream if he dreams. And he is giving it to you, offering you his private space, his sanctuary, without hesitation, without complaint. The bed is yours, he says, his voice quiet, respectful, gentle. Everything you need should be here. Water for washing, blankets for warmth, privacy for rest. If you require anything else, anything at all, call out. I will hear you. The tower is not large. Your voice will carry. I will come if you need me. You turn to look at him. He stands at the top of the stairs, keeping distance, maintaining space. His expression carefully neutral, but you can feel through the bond what he will not show on his face. Concern, consideration, a desire for your comfort despite his own distress, a fundamental kindness that he tries to hide beneath layers of cold control. Where will you sleep? You ask again, needing to know, needing to understand. Downstairs, he says, gesturing vaguely toward the floor below. There is furniture, cushions. I have slept in worse places, far worse. I will be comfortable enough. I will be close enough. The bond will be satisfied. We will both be able to rest, or at least you will be able to rest, which is what matters. You should have your bed, you insist. This is your home, your space, your sanctuary. I am the intruder here. I can take the couch, the bench, whatever is available. You should not give up your room for me. No, the word is firm, final, brooking no argument. You are tired, exhausted. The bond settling affects you more than me. I am accustomed to discomfort, to managing without. You need proper rest. You need safety. You need comfort. This is not negotiable, please. Do not fight me on this, not tonight, not when you can barely stand. There is a note of command in his voice, the voice of someone accustomed to being obeyed, someone who is used to making decisions and having them followed. But beneath it, you feel something else through the bond, protectiveness, genuine concern. He wants you comfortable, wants you safe, wants you cared for, even if he does not want to want these things, even if caring complicates everything, makes everything harder. You are too tired to argue further, too exhausted to fight. You nod, accepting his decision, accepting his generosity, accepting the gift of his private space, his bed, his sanctuary. Thank you, you say quietly, meaning it, grateful despite everything, despite the chaos, despite the fear, despite the confusion. Kiervan nods once, a small sharp movement, acknowledgement without warmth. He begins to turn toward the stairs, to leave, to give you privacy, to let you rest. But he hesitates, his hand on the wall, his back to you, frozen in a moment of uncertainty. If the bond causes pain, he says quietly, carefully, if you need me closer, if the distance becomes uncomfortable, if you cannot rest because of the pull, call out, I will come. No questions, no judgment, no hesitation. The bond's needs are beyond our control. Beyond our will, there is no shame in acknowledging them and asking for what is necessary. I will, you promise, your voice barely a whisper. He descends the stairs without another word, his footsteps fading, growing distant. You hear him moving around below, the quiet sounds of furniture being moved, cushions being arranged, the fire being tended, him settling in for a long night, for sleepless hours, for solitary vigil. You are alone now, truly alone for the first time since the binding, since the bond snapped into place and tied you to him, connected you irrevocably. You move to the bed, sit on the edge, and the mattress gives slightly beneath your weight. Comfortable, supportive, welcoming. The blankets are soft, well-worn. They smell like cedar and pine, like the forest outside. Like clean air and wood smoke, like him, his scent ingrained in the fabric from years of use. You should change out of your clothes, should wash, should prepare properly for sleep, but you have nothing else to wear, no other options. So you simply remove your shoes, slip off your jacket, leave everything else as it is. You leave the bracelet on, not that you have a choice. The silver band sits warm against your wrist, glowing faintly, a reminder of what you have done, what you have become, what you are now. You slide beneath the blankets, and they are heavy, warm, cocooning, layers of comfort and protection, wrapping around you, holding you, keeping you safe. You sink into the pillows, your body finally allowed to rest, to let go, to surrender to the exhaustion that has been building for hours. But sleep does not come, not immediately, not easily. You lie in the darkness, staring at the ceiling, at the stone overhead, watching candlelight flicker and dance across the ancient surface. Your mind races, trying to process everything that has happened, trying to understand, trying to make sense of it, trying to find some path forward through this impossible situation. The bond pulses gently in your chest, a constant presence, a reminder of him, of Kiervan, downstairs, awake, waiting, connected to you whether he wants to be or not, connected to you whether you want it or not. You can feel him even through the floor, even with distance between you. His emotions are more muted now, more controlled. He is working hard to shield you, to protect you from the full weight of what he carries, to spare you the burden of his distress. But the bond is still new, still raw, still learning. Things bleed through anyway, seeping past his defenses like water through stone. His anger has faded almost completely now, burned away by exhaustion and resignation, replaced by weariness, by acceptance, by the beginning of adaptation. And beneath that, always beneath everything else, that profound loneliness, that ancient solitude, it colors everything, sits under every other emotion, a foundation of isolation so deep it has become part of who he is fundamentally. You wonder what happened to make him this way, what drove him to this tower, to a life alone in the forest, away from courts and cities and other fae, away from connection and community and companionship. You wonder what he has lost, what he has survived, what scars he carries that you cannot see, that do not show on his skin but mark his soul nonetheless. You wonder what it means to be bound to someone like this forever, permanently, your souls tethered together, your lives intertwined, your fates connected. You wonder if you can learn to live with it, if he can learn to live with it, if you can find some way to make this work, some way to coexist peacefully, some way to build something from this disaster, this accident, this unwanted miracle. The bond tugs gently, not painful, not demanding, but insistent, persistent, a quiet pull that wants him closer, that is uncomfortable with this distance, even though logically you know he is just below you, just a staircase away, just a few steps from where you lie. You try to ignore it, to sleep despite the pull, to rest despite the discomfort. But it grows stronger, slowly, gradually, not agony, not unbearable, but a persistent ache, a wrongness, your body and soul protesting the separation, wanting proximity, needing it, demanding it. Downstairs, you feel Kiervan shift, his own discomfort rising, matching yours, mirroring it. The bond affects him too, pulls at him too. He is trying to manage it, to push through it, to master it through will alone. But you can feel the strain, the effort it costs him, the way it wears at his control. You lie there for what feels like hours, might be hours. Time is strange, fluid, difficult to track. The exhaustion makes it hard to judge, to measure, to understand how long you have been awake, how long you have been fighting this. Eventually, inevitably, you hear movement below, footsteps slow, hesitant, reluctant. Then the sound of him climbing the stairs, one step at a time, each footfall deliberate, measured, careful. He stops at the top, just beyond the edge of the room, at the threshold between staircase and bedroom, and you cannot see him in the darkness, but you know he's there. You feel him, the bond hums with his nearness, satisfied, content, relieved. I did not mean to disturb you. His voice comes softly, carefully, apologetic. But the balm, the pull, it has grown stronger, more insistent. I thought being closer might help, might ease it for both of us. It does. Already the ache is easing, fading, the wrongness dissipating. Just having him nearby settles something fundamental inside you. Something primal and instinctive, something that needed his proximity to be content. You cannot sleep either, you say into the darkness, a statement rather than a question. No, the admission is quiet, simple, honest. I cannot. Sleep evades me. I have been alone for so long. Sharing space with another being feels strange, uncomfortable, foreign. My instincts do not know how to rest while someone else is present. My mind cannot settle, cannot quiet. Is it the bond, you ask? Is that what keeps you awake? Partially, he says after a moment's consideration. The bond is part of it, yes, the newness of it, the strangeness. The constant awareness of you, of your presence, your emotions, your existence. It is overwhelming, intrusive. I am not accustomed to feeling someone else so constantly, to being aware of another being on this level. But also, he pauses, chooses his words carefully. I have not shared space with another person in a very long time, not like this. Not with such intimacy, not with such permanence. It is difficult. It challenges everything I have built, everything I have become. How long, you ask, how long have you been alone? And you already know the answer, but you need to hear him say it, need to understand the scope of his solitude. 200 years, he says, and the number hangs in the air. Impossible, incomprehensible. Give or take a decade or two, time becomes less precise when you have so much of it. The years blur together, blend into each other. I stopped counting eventually, stopped marking the passage. It seemed pointless. What difference does a year make when you have centuries? What difference does a decade make when you measure time in lifetimes? The number is staggering, overwhelming. 2 centuries, alone, by choice, deliberately isolated. The loneliness you feel through the bond makes more sense now. It is not recent heartbreak, not fresh grief. It is old, bone deep, accumulated, the weight of 200 years of solitude pressing down on him, shaping him, defining him. Why, you ask, because you need to understand. Why would anyone choose that, choose loneliness on that scale? Choose isolation so complete and so prolonged? He does not answer immediately. You think he might not answer at all, might keep that secret, might protect that piece of himself. But finally, after a long silence, he speaks, his voice low, careful, each word weighed and measured. Because it was easier than the alternative, he says. And there is so much weight in those words, so much history, so much pain. Because connection meant vulnerability, vulnerability meant pain, pain meant loss. And I had experienced enough loss, enough pain, enough betrayal. I did not want to risk more. So I chose this. I chose solitude. I chose safety over connection. I chose peace over love. I chose survival over living, and it was easier. For a very long time, it was easier. You do not push for more. You can feel his reluctance. The walls he has built around certain memories, certain pains. The bond gives you access to his emotions, but not his thoughts, not his history, not the specifics of what hurt him, what drove him here, what broke him badly enough that 2 centuries of isolation seemed preferable to trying again. Will you come in, you ask, because the bond is content now, satisfied with his proximity, but you can feel that he is uncomfortable standing at the threshold, uncertain, waiting. You do not have to, but the bond, it would be easier if you were closer. For both of us, it wants proximity, it needs it. Fighting it is exhausting us both. You feel his surprise through the bond, sharp and sudden. He did not expect the invitation, did not expect you to want him near, to ask for his presence rather than merely tolerating it out of necessity. But the bond wants what it wants, needs what it needs. Denying it serves no purpose except to make you both more uncomfortable, more tired, more strained. Kiervan steps into the room slowly, carefully, as if approaching something fragile, something that might startle and flee if he moves too quickly, makes too much noise, demands too much space. He moves to the far side of the room, near the window, keeping distance, keeping space, giving you room to breathe, to feel safe, and maintain some sense of autonomy, of control. There is a chair there. You had not noticed it before, simple and functional, positioned to look out the window, to watch the forest, to observe the stars. He lowers himself into it, slow and deliberate, his shadows settling around him, pooling at his feet, calm and gentle, content to be still. The relief is immediate, profound, overwhelming. The bond sighs, satisfied, content. He is close enough now, near enough. The ache fades completely, dissipates entirely, replaced by a gentle warmth, a sense of rightness, of equilibrium found, of balance restored. Is this acceptable? He asks, his voice quiet, uncertain in a way that feels unlike him, vulnerable, exposing something he usually keeps hidden. Am I too close, too far? Do you need me to adjust, to move, to give you more space or less? I do not know the rules here. I do not know what is appropriate, what is allowed, what is welcome. Yes, you say, your voice already drowsy, heavy with approaching sleep. This is good. This is right. Thank you. Thank you for coming up. Thank you for staying. I know this is hard for you. I know this is not what you wanted. I am sorry. I am so sorry for disrupting your life, for binding you to me, for changing everything without permission, without warning. You should sleep, he says gently, deflecting your apology, not accepting it, but not rejecting it either, simply setting it aside for another time, for later, for when you are both more able to discuss it properly. Tomorrow will be difficult. There is much to discuss, much to decide, much to understand, but tonight, just sleep, just rest. Just let yourself recover, let your body integrate the bond, let your mind process what has happened. You need rest, desperately. I can feel your exhaustion through the connection. You are barely holding on. Sleep now. I will be here. I will watch over you. I will keep you safe. Will you sleep? You ask again, even as your eyes close, even as consciousness begins to slip away, pulled under by exhaustion and magic, and the warmth of blankets, and the presence of him nearby, solid and real and constant. He hesitates, then offers a truth he likely did not intend to give. Eventually, he says softly, perhaps, if sleep finds me, if my mind quiets enough, if I can accept this enough to rest, but do not concern yourself with me. I have gone longer without sleep, much longer. I will manage. I always manage. Focus on yourself, on your own rest, on your own needs. Your last thought before sleep takes you completely, dragging you down into darkness and dreams, is that this should feel strange, uncomfortable, wrong somehow. Sleeping in a stranger's bed while he keeps vigil nearby, connected to him by bonds you do not understand, tied to him irrevocably, permanently. But it does not feel wrong. The bond makes it feel right, makes it feel natural, makes it feel like this is where you are supposed to be, like he is exactly who you are supposed to be with. Like this impossible accident might actually be fate, might actually be meant, might actually be the beginning of something rather than the end. As sleep claims you, you feel his shadows drift closer, gentle, careful. They brush against the bed, against the blankets, soft as silk, warm as breath, protective, watchful, an extension of his will, his concern, his growing protectiveness despite himself, despite his resistance, despite everything. You sleep finally, deeply, completely, wrapped in blankets and watched over by shadows, connected to a Fae who did not want connection, bound to someone who chose solitude, tethered to a stranger who is somehow not a stranger at all. And somewhere in the darkness and the quiet hours of night, Kirvin watches over you, his expression unreadable, his emotions carefully controlled, but through the bond, if you were awake to feel it, you would sense the shift, the slow beginning of acceptance, the first cracks in the walls he has built so carefully, so deliberately over 200 years of chosen isolation. You wake slowly, gently, pulled from dreams by soft light and the distant sound of birds beginning their morning chorus. The room is gray with pre-dawn light, that soft, uncertain illumination that comes just before the sun rises. When night is ending, the day has not quite begun. The in-between hour, neither and both. The candles have burned down completely, extinguished themselves sometime in the night, leaving pools of cooling wax on the sconces. The air is cool but not cold, fresh, carrying the scent of morning dew and pine needles, of earth and sky and the forest breathing. You lie still for a long moment, not quite ready to move, not quite ready to face the day, orienting yourself, remembering where you are, what happened, why everything feels different, strange, new. The tower, the Fae, the bond, it all comes back in a rush, memory flooding in. Overwhelming but no longer panic-inducing, simply reality now, your new reality. You shift slightly under the blankets, testing your body, assessing your condition. You feel rested, more rested than you have any right to feel given the chaos of the previous evening. The exhaustion was deep, but the sleep was deeper, restorative, healing. The bond pulses gently in your chest, warm and steady, constant, connecting you to him, to Kirvin, and you realize with a start that you can still feel him nearby, close, present. You open your eyes fully and turn your head, looking toward the window, toward the chair where he sat in the darkness. Kieran is still there. He could not leave, did not retreat downstairs once he fell asleep. He stayed all night, keeping vigil. His position has changed, shifted, adjusted over the long hours. His head rests against the back of the chair now, tilted slightly to one side, his legs stretched out before him, crossed at the ankles, his arms folded over his chest. His whole posture speaking of someone who tried to remain alert, but eventually lost the battle, surrendered to exhaustion. He fell asleep, finally, despite his intentions, despite his insistence that he would not, that he could not. His body and mind finally demanding rest, finally taking what they needed regardless of his will, regardless of his control. In sleep, his face is different, transformed. The careful control is gone, the ice has melted, the walls have come down. He looks younger somehow, more vulnerable, more human despite being anything but human. The harsh lines of his face are softened by relaxation, by the absence of tension. The set of his jaw is gentle rather than tight. His mouth is soft rather than pressed into a line of control or resignation. His dark hair falls across his forehead, partially obscuring his face, some strands caught against his cheek, and your fingers itch with the sudden desire to brush it back, to see him more clearly, to touch him, but you resist, unwilling to wake him, unwilling to disturb this rare moment of peace, of rest, of surrender to vulnerability. His shadows are still, completely still, pulled around the chair like a sleeping animal, content, at rest. No longer moving or shifting or responding to his emotions, simply existing, present but dormant. In the gray morning light, they look less supernatural, less magical, almost natural, almost normal. Just shadows cast by early light, except you know they are more, so much more. You watch him, this Fae you are now bound to, forever, permanently, irrevocably. This stranger who is no longer a stranger, who is fundamentally part of you now, connected on a level that goes beyond the physical, beyond the visible, beyond the comprehensible. He did not choose this, did not want it. You ruined something for him, interrupted something. Shattered 200 years of carefully maintained isolation, broke through walls he built to protect himself, to survive, to find some measure of peace in a world that had hurt him too deeply. That lying here in the gray morning light, watching him sleep, watching his chest rise and fall with slow, steady breaths, watching the peace on his face that only comes in sleep and surrender and letting go, you cannot entirely regret it, cannot entirely wish it undone, cannot entirely mourn what has been lost because something new has been created, something that might possibly, eventually, become something good, something worthwhile, something healing for both of you. There is something magnetic about him, something that draws you, and not just the bond, though the bond is certainly part of it, amplifying everything, intensifying every feeling, every awareness. But something else, something beyond magic, beyond compulsion, some quality in him that speaks to something in you. Some resonance that existed even before the bond, that the bond simply made obvious, made undeniable, made manifest. He is beautiful, that much is undeniable, impossibly beautiful in the way of Fae, in the way of beings who are not quite real, not quite earthly. But it is more than physical beauty. There is depth to him, layers upon layers, complexity, pain and loneliness, and something ancient and sad and strong and enduring. Something that makes you want to understand him, to know him, to see beneath the control and the ice and the carefully maintained distance, to find the person underneath, the being he is when he is not performing strength, not performing indifference, not performing control. The bond pulses gently between you, warm, satisfied, content. He is close, you are safe, you are together, Everything is as it should be, as it needs to be, as it will be from now on, for the rest of your lives, however long those may be. You wonder if you should wake him, if you should move, if you should start the day, face what comes next, have the conversations that need to happen, make the decisions that need to be made. But you are reluctant to disturb this moment, this small peace, this brief respite from complications and questions and uncertainties. He looks so tired even in sleep, even in rest, as if 200 years of exhaustion have settled into his bones, into his soul, as if weariness is part of who he is fundamentally, something he carries always, even in dreams. So you lie still, watching the light slowly strengthen, watching the gray turn to soft gold as the sun begins to rise somewhere beyond the trees, somewhere beyond the mountains, painting the sky in shades of rose and amber, washing the world in gentle color, bringing warmth, bringing day, bringing the beginning of something new. His shadows stir first, responding to the changing light, to the shift from night to day. They stretch slowly, languidly, like a cat waking from sleep, extending outward, reaching toward the window, toward the light, toward you. Gentle exploratory movements, curious but not threatening, aware but not demanding. Then Kirvan's breathing changes, deepens, shifts, the rhythm of sleep giving way to the rhythm of waking. He is coming back to consciousness, slowly, reluctantly, being pulled from whatever dreams or darkness held him, drawn back to the waking world, to awareness, to remembrance. His eyes move beneath closed lids, quick flickering movements, his hands flex, fingers uncurling from where they were folded over his chest. His body beginning to wake, even as his mind still resists, still clings to sleep, to rest, to the absence of thought and worry and responsibility. His eyes open, finally, slowly, reviewing those strange, beautiful eyes, dark as night with silver threading through like stars, like lightning, like magic made visible. For a moment, he seems disoriented, confused, uncertain where he is, why he is here, what happened, his defenses down, his control absent, just raw confusion and vulnerability. Then his gaze finds you, still in bed, awake, watching him, and you see the moment awareness returns fully, the moment memory floods back, the moment he remembers everything, the binding, the bond, the tower, the long night, the vigil kept, the sleep that claimed him despite his intentions. Something crosses his face, quick and complex. Surprise first that he fell asleep, that he let his guard down so completely, that he surrendered control so thoroughly. Then embarrassment, which surprises you, that someone so ancient and powerful can still feel something so human, so relatable, so simple. Then resignation, acceptance, the acknowledgement that this is real. This happened, this is his life now, changed irrevocably, complicated permanently, connected whether he wants it or not. He straightens slowly in the chair, movement still fluid despite hours of uncomfortable sleep, despite resting in a position that should have left him stiff and sore. He runs a hand through his hair, pushing it back from his face, fingers combing through the dark strands, tucking them behind his ears, an unconscious gesture, habitual, something done without thought, revealing more of his face, more of those sharp, elegant features that look slightly less sharp in the morning light, slightly softer. I fell asleep, he says, and his voice is rough with sleep, deeper than normal, textured, raw. The words are simple, stating the obvious, but there is weight beneath them, acknowledgement of failure, of weakness, of something he did not intend, did not want, did not plan. You needed rest too, you say gently, kindly, offering understanding rather than judgment, acceptance rather than criticism. No one can go without sleep forever, not even Fae, not even you. Your body demanded rest. Your mind demanded rest. You gave them what they needed. There's no shame in that, no failure, only wisdom in listening to what you need. He looks away toward the window, toward the sky beyond that is now painted in shades of rose and gold. Dawn fully arrived, morning fully present. The light catches his profile, illuminates the sharp line of his jaw, the elegant curve of his neck, the fall of his hair, and he is breathtaking in the morning light, ethereal, otherworldly, beautiful in a way that makes your chest ache with something you cannot name, do not dare name. How do you feel, he asks, not looking at you, his voice still rough, still deep, still textured with sleep. The bond, is it stable? Has it settled? Can you function without pain, without distress, without constant need for proximity? You take stock of yourself, paying attention to the connection in your chest, to the warmth that pulses there, steady and constant. The bond feels different now than it did last night, more settled, more certain, more integrated, as if your body and soul have accepted it, have made space for it, have woven it into the fabric of who you are, what you are, how you exist in the world. It feels better, you answer honestly, carefully. Calmer, more stable, more certain, like it knows what it is now, what it should be, how it should function. The panic is gone, the urgency is gone, it is just there. Constant and warm and present, but no longer demanding, no longer frightening. He nods slowly, still not looking at you, still focused on the window, on the world beyond. Good, he says quietly, that is good. The settling period appears to have passed successfully. That is fortunate. It could have been worse, much worse. Some bonds take days to stabilize, some never fully settle. Some cause pain for weeks or months. We were fortunate, relatively speaking. Silence falls between you, comfortable enough. Or if not comfortable, then at least not hostile, not awkward. Just two people in the quiet of early morning, connected but separate, together but still learning how to be together, still figuring out how to navigate this, how to exist in the same space, how to share a life that neither planned, neither wanted, neither expected. Kiervan stands finally, the movement fluid, graceful, unhurried. He stretches slightly, rolling his shoulders, extending his arms, and shadows ripple around him in response, moving with him, extensions of his body, of his will, of his very being. Then he turns to face you fully, meeting your eyes directly for the first time since waking. And in the morning light, his eyes are even more striking, more beautiful, silver and shadow, ancient and aware, depthless and knowing. We need to talk, he says quietly, gently, but with certainty, with inevitability. About what happens now, about what this bond means, about what it requires, about how we proceed from here, about what our lives will look like moving forward. There are decisions to be made, understandings to be reached, boundaries to be established, expectations to be set. He pauses, then adds, softer, more carefully, but first, you should eat, you should wash, you should make yourself comfortable, you should take care of your basic needs. There's time. We have nothing but time now. We have the rest of our lives to discuss this. To understand this, to navigate this, there is no need to rush. No need to force conversations before we are ready. No need to solve everything immediately. There is something in the way he says it, a weight, a significance, an acceptance. You are part of his life now permanently, irrevocably, unchangeably, and he is part of yours. For better or worse, for easier or harder, for joy or sorrow, for all the days ahead, however many they may be. The bond has decided, fate has decided, magic has decided, and there is no undoing what has been done. No reversing what has been set in motion, no returning to what was before. You nod slowly, understanding, accepting, agreeing. Yes, you say simply yes to all of it. Yes to food and conversation and figuring this out. Yes to moving forward. Yes to whatever comes next. Yes to this new reality, this new life, this new connection. Kiervan nods once, sharp and decisive, acknowledgement and agreement and acceptance all in one small gesture. He moves toward the stairs, giving you privacy, giving you space, giving you time to collect yourself, to prepare yourself, to ready yourself for the day ahead, for the conversations that must happen, for the beginning of understanding what this bond truly means, what it will demand, what it will offer, what it will become. But he pauses at the top of the stairs, hand on the wall, back to you, frozen in a moment of hesitation, of uncertainty, of something he wants to say but does not know how to voice, how to offer, how to make real. "I am sorry," he says suddenly, unexpectedly, the word surprising both of you. "For last night, for my coldness, for my distance, for my anger. You did not deserve that. You did not ask for this any more than I did. This is not your fault. You did not know. Could not have known. The vendor deceived us both. Neither of us is to blame. We are both victims of circumstance, of accident, of fate or chance, or whatever force brought us together. And I should not have blamed you, should not have been cruel, should not have made this harder than it already is. I was wrong, and I'm sorry, truly, deeply, sincerely sorry." The apology surprises you, catches you off guard. You can feel the sincerity of it through the bond, the genuine remorse, the real regret. He means every word, truly means it. This is not performance, not politeness, not obligation, but actual apology, actual acknowledgement of harm done, actual desire to make amends. "Thank you," you say softly, accepting the apology, accepting the peace offering, accepting the olive branch extended. "I appreciate that, truly. It helps, it matters. It makes this easier, knowing you do not blame me, knowing you do not hate me for this, knowing you are willing to try, willing to make this work, willing to find some way forward together." He nods again, still not looking at you, still facing away, protecting himself, protecting you, protecting whatever vulnerability he has just exposed. Then he descends the stairs, leaving you alone with the morning light and the weight of what comes next, with the knowledge that today begins the rest of your life, your new life, your life bound to a Shadow Fae who has chosen solitude for 200 years, who did not want a mate, who did not want connection, who did not want anything but peace and quiet and isolation. But the bond does not care what he wanted, what you wanted, what either of you planned or hoped or dreamed. It exists, permanent and unchangeable and real. And now you must both learn to live with it, learn to live with each other, learn to build something from this accident, this disaster, this unexpected gift, this complicated beginning. You move to the window, looking out at the forest below, at the world washed in morning light, golden and soft and new. The tower rises above the trees. From here you can see for miles. Rolling hills covered in ancient forest, dense evergreens stretching to the horizon, mountains in the distance capped with snow that glows pink and gold in the sunrise, beautiful, remote, isolated, a place apart from the world, a place between places, a place where you will learn what it means to be bound to someone who has been alone for 2 centuries, who has built walls around his heart so high and so thick that they seem impenetrable. But the bond exists now, a tether, a connection, a bridge between you and perhaps, possibly, eventually, it might become a doorway, a passage, a way through those walls, a way to understanding, a way to something more than reluctant coexistence, something more than enforced proximity, something that might, given time and patience and effort, become something good, something healing, something that both of you need, even if neither of you realizes it yet. Below, you hear Kirvan moving, hear the sound of the fire being rebuilt, hear the clatter of dishes, hear the ordinary sounds of morning routines, of life continuing, of normalcy attempting to reassert itself despite everything that has changed, despite everything that will never be the same. And standing here in the gray gold light of dawn, feeling the bond warm in your chest, feeling him present below you even through stone and distance, feeling the rightness of this despite the wrongness, despite the complications, despite everything, you think that perhaps this will not be the disaster it seemed last night. Perhaps this will not be the tragedy you feared. Perhaps this accidental binding might become something neither of you expected, something neither of you planned, but something that was meant to happen all along, something that fate or magic or the universe decided you both needed, whether you knew it or not. You are bound to the Shadow Fae, and perhaps in time that will feel less like a curse and more like a gift, less like a prison and more like a home, less like an ending and more like a beginning. The morning light grows stronger, warmer, washing the tower in shades of gold and amber, chasing away the last of the night shadows, bringing day, bringing warmth, bringing the beginning of understanding. You stand at the window, looking out at your new world, at the forest that surrounds this watchtower, this sanctuary, this place between places. Below, you hear Kirvan continuing his morning routine. Hear him existing, living, being, and through the bond you feel him, feel his presence. Feel his gradual acceptance, feel the slow beginning of peace, of adjustment, of learning to live with this new reality. There is so much to discover, so much to navigate, so much to understand. The bond is new, raw, still learning what it means to connect two souls so completely, so permanently. Learning what it means to be two separate beings made into something that is both separate and united, individual and connected, alone and together. But for now, there is just this, the morning, the tower, the forest, the quiet. And a Fae who fell asleep watching over you, who woke at dawn, who apologized for his coldness, who was trying in his way to accept this, to make space for you to find some path forward through the impossible. Who is, whether he wanted it or not, yours now as you are his. The bond hums in your chest, warm, content, satisfied, certain. You are safe, you are connected, you are exactly where you need to be, where you were always meant to be, even if neither of you knew it until 3 days ago, until a bracelet and a wish and a moment of twilight magic changed everything forever. Rest now if you need to. The morning can wait a little longer. There's no rush, no urgency, no pressure. The tower is quiet, the forest is peaceful, the bond is settled, and somewhere below, Kirvan keeps vigil, keeps watch, keeps space for you in his life, in his home, in his carefully ordered existence that is no longer quite so ordered, quite so solitary, quite so isolated. You are bound to the Shadow Fae, and he is bound to you. And perhaps in time, you will both discover that this bond, this accident, this unwanted complication might actually be the thing that saves you both, might actually be the thing you both needed, might actually be the beginning of healing, of connection, of learning how to live again rather than simply surviving, learning how to open rather than close, learning how to trust rather than fear. But that is for later, for tomorrow, for the days and weeks and months and years ahead. For now, just rest, just breathe, just be. You are safe, you are connected, you are home. Sleep, if you wish, or simply rest in the quiet morning, in the peace of this place, in the knowledge that whatever comes next, you will face it together, bound by magic you did not choose, but that chose you, connected by a bond that will not break, cannot break, will never break. You are his, he is yours, forever, permanently, completely. And perhaps, just perhaps, that will not be such a terrible thing after all. Rest now, rest easy, rest well. The dawn has come, the night has passed, and you have survived. You have both survived, and that is enough. For now, that is more than enough. Sleep, rest, be at peace. You are exactly where you belong.